In mid-2009, a gold-plated Nintendo Wii was sent to the actual Queen of England as a gift. Well, I say as a gift. In truth, this was part of a marketing strategy for a title you won't have heard of called Big Family Games. It was a bit like Wii Sports, I suppose, if you're being quite generous, but instead of focusing on your more mainstream activities like tennis or bowling, publisher THQ had made the arguably braver decision of putting together a minigame collection featuring the likes of horseshoes. Horseshoes with boats, and everyone's favourite, throwing horseshoes near chickens to get them to move in your preferred direction. This really isn't very good, is it? With interest in the game seeming a little muted ahead of its release, THQ decided to do what all truly great video game publishers must in moments such as these, and they manufactured an entirely superfluous reason for us to talk about it anyway. But how did the Queen get involved? Well, about a year or so before this point, there was an article from the Sunday People, which is a tabloid in the UK, and it quoted its anonymous source within the palace who claimed that Queen Elizabeth II, the head of the Commonwealth, bloody loved a go on Wii bowling. Well, thought the team at THQ, wait until she finds out about horseshoes. Here's a press release they sent out in 2009 entitled, "We are not amused." The royal family is arguably the most important family in the country. So we felt they had to have a copy of the new game, but we thought that Her Majesty the Queen wouldn't want to play on any old console, so an extra special gold one was commissioned. We hope that she and the rest of the royal family enjoy the game. And of course, this ended up making headlines. As they say at Eurogamer, where I used to work, it's a solid Friday story. You can give it a daft headline, throw in a decent pun like the Royal Wii. That's actually pretty good. And THQ had even provided a picture of the console sitting on a velvet cushion. This stuff basically writes itself. A successful PR stunt this may have been, but it's also a little bit of a fib. You see, this most extravagant of consoles never actually reached Queen Liz. Why not? Well, because you can't just send stuff to the Queen of England. Actually, you can, there is an address you can write to, but it has to go through her official correspondence team first before it ever reaches her, and they have a fairly strict policy when it comes to gifts, which is, it doesn't matter what it is, for security reasons, the palace will not accept it. That policy does not change even if your gift is gold-plated, as THQ discovered. They did stick to their word, I'm told, and sent the console to Buckingham Palace, but when it arrived, the palace refused to sign for it. And so, if the Queen does indeed enjoy the odd game of Wii Sports, as the tabloids suggest, she's likely playing with a grubby original model, just like the rest of us.
Very unwieldy.
And so, because it's almost Christmas, and we don't feel like doing a particularly serious video right now, we're here to ask the following question. What happened to the Queen's Golden Wii? Well, I say it's almost Christmas, we're actually a little bit past that at this point. Yeah, the next part of the video requires us to get on a plane, and last time we tried to do that, well, this happened.
All flights in and out of Gatwick, Britain's second busiest airport, have been suspended after 2 drones were seen flying near the runway. 10,000 passengers.
So yeah, let's give that another go. Right, so the first thing that we need to establish is what happened to the Golden Wii once it left Buckingham Palace. As you may already know, THQ went bankrupt a few years after this actually happened, so there's no longer a point of contact for the publisher who we can talk to. But we're not going to let that stop us. Are we, Annie? If we go back to that original press release from 2009, we can see that it mentions a woman called Danielle Robinson. She was one of THQ's product managers at the time. I got in touch with her a few weeks ago asking if she wanted to be a part of this video, and well, she politely declined, explaining that it had been about 10 years since any of this happened and that she didn't have much to say. Anyway, I did end up chatting with several other THQ employees instead, and although I wouldn't say I was greeted with quite the same level of enthusiasm that I have for this story, we did start getting some answers. It turns out after the palace declined to accept it, the Wii was sent back to one of THQ's offices, and there it would stay. As far as the world knew, Her Majesty was now the proud owner of a golden Nintendo Wii to match her golden piano. And isn't that a dream worth protecting? Also, let's be honest, it'd be kind of embarrassing to send out a second press release explaining that the royal family had in fact turned away THQ's golden gift. And so for the next 3 years, that was that really, right up until the moment in which THQ went bankrupt in December of 2012. Around this point, the details get a little bit more hazy. Nobody I've spoken to seems to know what happened to the Wii during this period. But after another 5 years, it does show up again. This time, it's in the possession of a man known online as Dan2K0, a collector who sort of specializes in developer hardware. That's stuff that's not usually available to the public. He's acquired the Golden Wii along with another few bits and pieces, once belonging to THQ from a contact of his, and he is looking to sell it. But who even buys something like that? It's not exactly going to be cheap, is it? I suppose you just need to be the type of person who is really, really into collecting consoles. So much so that you, I don't know, created your own website called consolevariations.com, where you and like-minded collectors would catalogue the world's many different types of consoles and colours of consoles, and I guess there's also a decent chance your name would be Donnie and you'd live in the Netherlands too, so it's a good job that's where we're going. Okay, so we've come to Utrecht in the Netherlands to meet a man about a Golden Nintendo. I think he lives here, so we're going to do the thing where I knock on the door and really hope that it's the right house. I'll double up. Seems to be the right house. Hello, Donnie. Hello. How's it going?
Hi, I'm good.
Hey, nice to meet you. Oh, thank you very much. Shall I take my shoes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
This is Annie.
Nice to meet you.
Oh gosh. There's a lot of stuff. Where is the Golden Wii? I'm trying to. Oh, okay. It might be in the first thing I should have looked at. Oh, cool. Hey, you've got Big Family Games as well. I think you might be the only person in the world that displays Big Family Games in a case. That's amazing. Have you played it?
Actually, no.
We played it. Well, I played it a little bit. It's not great. Remarkably, Donnie only began collecting consoles about 6 years ago after picking up a Game Boy at a flea market for €5 and has since then spent considerably more than that as he aims to collect, amongst other bits and pieces, one of every colour of every Nintendo system, from the Virtual Boy to the Switch. Do you have a lot of games as well? Like, is that...
I have a massive collection of 35 games.
You have 35 games?
I have 35 games.
How many consoles do you think you have?
280.
Right, I'm seeing a slight disparity there. There are two different approaches to collecting as far as I can tell, and Donnie actually does a bit of both. The first approach is the one I just described. It's quantitative. Usually the collector will have set themselves a certain numerical goal to hit, like acquiring each of the 25 different coloured versions of the Nintendo 64, and then they work towards that target, picking up different items as they appear for the right price. To be honest, I've never quite understood this desire. You seem to either have it or you don't, and I probably don't. But the other approach, now that is something that I can get excited about. Collecting items because of the stories they're a part of. The Golden Wii is a great example of this. But meeting Donnie made me realise something else as well. The origin of this console is kind of cynical, if truth be told. I highly doubt anyone at THQ ever believed that Queen Elizabeth II was going to accept their gift, and I doubt many of the journalists who wrote about it thought that would be the case either. And that's okay, it was a daft PR stunt to make people chuckle on their way to work, and I'm sure it achieved that goal. But 10 years later, I think the Golden Wii now means more than that. It's become the prize at the end of a treasure hunt for Donnie and the other collectors like him, who managed to track down this console after it disappeared for the best part of a decade, and now he keeps it on the top shelf of a display cabinet with a light that reflects the gold onto your face as you peer down for a closer look. The very act of collecting this object has given it value. I'm not talking about money, it was already gold-plated, I'm sure it was worth something, but in 2009, this console was just a PR stunt for a game that nobody was really talking about, and now it's more than that. As Donnie will tell you himself, this is the console which nearly belonged to a queen. It's the story, not the gold, that matters to him. And I think that's great. We need people who care about stories to help preserve the history of video games, because before too long, the idea of buying a physical copy of something and popping it in a box that's connected to your telly will seem embarrassingly old-fashioned. But I still want to remember that Panasonic once made a GameCube for Nintendo that was very shiny and could also play DVDs. I want to have a bash on the Virtual Boy and talk about just how ahead of its time it really was. I want to show people what my childhood was like, I guess. That's often what collecting comes down to, at its heart. Here's what things were like when I was a kid. It was colourful and weird, and there was loads and loads of plastic. That's a kind of story too, I suppose, a bigger one than the Queen's Golden Wii even, but it's hard to see this many things wearing a Nintendo logo and not immediately grasp for your childhood memories. Anyway, here's to the collectors amongst you. Oh, and if any of you happen to come across the golden nunchuck from that original press release photo, do let Donnie know. It disappeared at some point during all of this, and I think he'd rather like the full set. I can't believe we've chased this console across an ocean. This video was sponsored by Skillshare, an online learning community full of videos like this one I've just found about spray painting.
Beforehand, I'm going to say for this class, I want you all to have a ventilator. I'm sure some of you are familiar with spray painting, so you understand your level of comfort being around fumes, but for everyone else...
If you don't have a ventilator either, there are hundreds of other classes that you can take a look at with a premium membership to Skillshare costing $10 per month. One that we thought was kind of cool was this, an introduction to motion graphics with Kurzagart, and if you've been around on this channel for a while now, you'll know we love their work, despite the fact that I can't say their name correctly. I'm from Stoke-on-Trent, I'm sorry, I don't say a lot of things correctly. Anyway, if you go to this link right here, and you can find it in the video description as well, the first 500 people to sign up will get a free subscription for 2 months to Skillshare, and that's that. Thank you for watching, and we hope you've had a lovely start to 2019 so far. We got some really exciting plans for the channel this year, we think, and we can't wait to show you what those plans are when they're done. All right, good. See you soon. Bye. Slide, didn't he?